All right, so I want to talk about the mole map that we have here and that you should have drawn on your own piece of paper. Okay, make sure you have that out in front of you because you're going to be using it. So, last week you all learned about the mole and what a mole is, what it represents. Okay, here we have our mole map. Okay, this is a way that we're going to be able to convert between different amounts, different types of particles, different types of mass, and different types of volume. Now, as you can see, everything goes through the mole, which we've labeled Mole Town. Okay, that's a way for you to remember. So, Mole Town, as you can see, is the center of everything. Everything goes through the Mole Town. And we can convert the mole into three different things. Okay, we can convert the mole into mass, we can convert the mole into particles, and we can convert the mole into volume. Okay, you're going to be looking at each one of these over the next couple days. The things that I want to point out about this mole map is the arrows as well as what is on top of the arrow. So, let's say you're going from Mole Town A and you want to get to Mass Mall. Okay, well, if you're going to Mass Mall, that means you're going to be converting to some sort of mass. So, grams is the mass that we're going to be looking at most often. Okay, now think of the arrows as a street. Okay, and these streets can only go in one direction. Okay, if you're starting at Mole Town A and you want to go to Mass Mall, you have to take this road here, this arrow. Okay, now if you're going the other way, if you were starting at Mass Mall and you wanted to go to Mole Town, you would have to go in this direction. Okay, you could only go one way, whether you're going from Mole Town to Mass Mall or Mass Mall to Mole Town. Now, if you look at each of the arrows, you can see that on top of the arrow or below, there is some sort of conversion. Okay, this is our conversion factor. Okay, just like you were converting inches to feet or liters to milliliters, you had to multiply by some sort of conversion factor. Well, if I was going from Mole Town to Mass Mall, this is the conversion factor that I would use. Okay, I would take the molar mass on top divided by 1 mole on the bottom. Now, the molar mass depends upon whatever element or compound you are using. If we're going the opposite direction, if we're going from Mass Mall to Mole Town, you're going to put 1 mole on the top and you're going to put molar mass on the bottom. Okay? They're the same conversion factor, they are just switched depending on which way you are going. Okay? I want to look at particle plaza. So it works in a very similar fashion. You can go from Mole Town to Particle Plaza. Now, why would you want to go to Particle Plaza? Well, you could be asked about particles. You could be talking about atoms. You can be talking about molecules. So if you ever see one of those, particles, atoms, molecules, you're going to go to Particle Plaza. So if I was going from Mole Town to Particle Plaza, I would take this route, follow this arrow, and I would use this conversion factor. Okay, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd particles divided by 1 mole. Hopefully you remember that 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd is Avogadro's number. That is the mole. Okay? If you were going from Particle Plaza To Moletown, you would take this arrow and you would use this conversion factor, the 1 mole divided by 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd particles. Now again, I want to remind you, particles could mean atoms or molecules or particles. Okay. Last but not least, you can go down south and you can go between Moletown and Volume Villa. Well, in Volume Villa, you're going to be looking at volume. And the most common unit for volume is liters. So again, you have two options. If you want to go from Moletown to Volume Villa, you follow this arrow and you use the conversion factor 22.4 liters divided by 1 mole. If you're going the opposite direction from Volume Villa to Moletown, you would follow this arrow going up and you would use 1 mole divided by 22.4 liters. Okay? Over the next couple days, you're going to be looking at each one of these conversions separately. And then eventually, you'll be able to convert between moles and mass, moles and particles, moles and volumes. And then on the last day, you're going to try and figure out, well, if I'm in mass small, how do I get to particle plaza? Because there is no direct path. So what you have to do is you have to follow the arrows to go from mass small to Moletown to particle plaza. Okay? But we'll take care of that at the end. Okay? Over the next couple of days, you're going to look at each one of these individually, and then we'll wrap it up by looking at a multiple variable conversion.